Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope everybody is well. This is going to be a fairly long video because it is a no buy, no sell update. So I have a lot of different stories that I need to share with you, and it's just easier for me to do it this way than to just continue to do little short videos. So there's so much stuff to talk about. It's just easier for me to do it this way. So y'all bear with me. It's important stuff that we need to know. I won't spend a whole lot of time on all the stories. I will include links to each of these stories in the description so that you can read it on your own. But I just want to briefly touch on them, on these stories, and provide my tinfoil hat theories. Because as you can see how rapidly things are changing and how rapidly the global economy and the national economy is declining, we need to be prepared for the digital ID systems that are coming that are going to be tied to our ability to buy and sell. And so you need to be aware of what's going on elsewhere, because it's not necessarily happening here. But just because it doesn't happen here doesn't mean it's not being tested and perfected in other places that have larger populations, that have poorer people or more poor people without safety nets, so on and so forth. So we need to pay attention to what's going on, because when this system collapses, we are all going to be caught off guard, because folks are going to be thinking, well, how did it get this stuff all together so fast? Not realizing that the whole world is on board with this one world government and all these systems in place for this no buy, no sell system. So let's talk about it. So let's say all of these updates come from the biometricupdate.com, and I talked about some time ago, you should follow this page because it has a lot of information about what is going on with the digitalization that's going to be tied to the Internet of Things and our ability to buy and sell and conduct business anywhere we go on the planet. So I know folks are thinking, oh, if I go here, I can escape. You're not going to be able to escape. The only way you're going to be able to escape is if you go someplace that doesn't charge income taxes once you buy stuff, you own it outright, and you live off the grid. Like, you literally going to have to live the way that the Most High taught us to live. And you won't be able to do it here in Babylon, because Babylon is going to be utterly destroyed, left desolate. So if you're planning on going to the continent of Africa, to the Caribbean, to South America, someplace like that, you're running for nothing, because these platforms or frameworks are already there. They're just perfecting them there, and they're not telling us about them. So people are very ignorant to the devices of the adversary. So this is why I want to talk to you about them. So the first story is about Vietnam. So it says Vietnam's digital identity transformation taking shape. The story came out on July 29th, 2024. So it says digital transformation is progressing in Vietnam as the country's government pursues Project 06 to modernize its economy and public services. The new national identity system is a cornerstone of the digital transformation plan, which includes civil registration, digital ID, and authentication. So if you think you can be able to live in a country and not have a digital ID, especially if you're planning on relocating from America to another country, and you're going to have to be doing business, like trying to transact and do land deals, pay taxes if there are any taxes or fees, open a bank account, do all the legitimate stuff, and try to conduct business here back at home, you're not going to be able to do it without digitalization. So, everybody's thinking, I'm going to run, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to be safe. No, you ain't going to be safe no place. You ain't going to be safe no place. You're just not. So you can't even leave here and go someplace without people knowing where you are. So even if you get a passport or visa, whatever, all those things now are digital. So we're already being tracked. You're not going to go someplace and be safe. So please get that out of your head and be able to just fall off the grid, especially if you're leaving the country. You're not going to be able to do that. So it says, with the transition from outdated paper-based identification systems, I said to make it sound so terrible, to sophisticated biometric-based digital IDs, millions of citizens will have better access to their data. We don't want access to it. We don't even need it. The only reason we have it because they require us to have it. And improved protection from cybercrime. How? Every damn thing on the planet been hacked last week. What is the state talking about? Everything been hacked. The airports, and they call it what did they say the thing was? It was a faulty rollout of some update. But it doesn't matter. Even if that's the case, we're not safe. If somebody does that and it wipes out all your information, then you can't access it. You don't have any control over anything. You don't have a hard copy of anything. If you flying and the airport system goes down, you can't fly. If you go shop someplace and you swipe your card or use your digital ID and the company that stores the information is hacked, your information is on the dark web. There's no protection. This whole thing is about control and knowing your every move, knowing your every purchase, knowing your every thought. That's all it's about. They can get rid of the protection piece because there's no such thing as protection. If you can't control it, you can't protect anything. And they can't protect you because they can't control it. So it says this digital ID card will integrate multiple public services, including healthcare, social insurance, to make them more efficient and accessible. So if you want to receive health care, access public services, and insurance, that's like Medicare or Medicaid, you have to have a digital ID. And so that's how they're going to get a lot of people. Crucially, because a lot of people, even here in America, they love going to the doctor. Like my parents love going to the doctor. You can't tell them nothing about their doctor. You can't tell them nothing about the healthcare system. They think that going to the doctor every 2 weeks and what have you is a good thing, and they think that the doctor monitoring their health instead of them monitoring their health and changing their habits is better. Like going to the doctor is better than just eating right and not taking their drugs because their drugs only create other issues. So it says this digital ID will integrate multiple public services, and I already read that. So crucially, global partnerships have played a significant part in this transition. NEC has worked closely with the Vietnam Post and Telecommunications Group, VNPT, on such processes to ensure the robustness of the system combined with its expandability. So you see, they're talking about telecommunications, that's your phone. So that's what I'm talking about, this phone. And when we keep talking about chips in your hand, everybody got to have a phone, and phones have chips in them, and we keep them in our hands. So, I would say probably eventually you may have something inside of your body, but initially, everybody has a chip anyway. So and the government will give you a free phone so that they'll make sure you have a chip in your hand. They'll give your children a phone. They'll give granny a phone. Everybody already got a phone. So the evolution of Vietnam's digital identity system. So it says Vietnam's move from paper-based to digital documentation is a landmark in its digital history. Frequently, the country employed slow and manual procedures for identification that were sometimes inefficient and insecure. The Vietnam government sought modernization, hence introducing the Digital Transformation Plan with the objective of the digitally centralized National Biometric Identity System. Vietnam's step has steered the Ministry of Public Security through partnerships with international technology corporations. So this is an international process, and that's the purpose of it. The new system combines fingerprint and face recognition technologies to enhance security measures during the identity checks for more than 50 million citizens. So that's just one story on digitalization. So I have another story that came out on yesterday, Monday, July 29th, 2024. And it says China ponders creating a national cyberspace ID. This is scary because if they do it, if they're thinking about doing it and they do it, that means everybody in the world has to look forward to this because China has been lifted up as the model, according to Klaus Schwab from WEF. Because clearly it's better for Beijing to know who you are than for every ISP and social service to keep its own records. So it says Beijing may soon issue cyberspace IDs to its citizens after floating a proposal for the scheme last Friday. Although the policy is only open for comments and not certain to be adopted, the IDs would serve to protect citizens' personal information, regulate the public service for authentication, and of cyberspace IDs, and accelerate the implementation of the Trusted Online Identity Strategy, according to a notice posted by the State Council, China's equivalent of a ministerial cabinet. The ID will take two forms, one as a series of letters and numbers, and the other as an online credential. Both will correspond to the citizen's real-life identity, but with no details in plain text. Presumably, encryption will be applied. A government national service platform will be responsible for authenticating and issuing the cyberspace IDs. This draft comes from the Ministry of Public Security and the Cyberspace Administration of China. It clarifies that the ID will be voluntary for now and eliminate the need for citizens to provide their real-life personal information to internet service providers. So see how they sell everything as, oh, they helping you. Everything is just going to be nationalized. The whole world is going to be like China and Russia. So it says those under the age of 14 would need parental consent to apply. China is one of the few countries in the world that requires citizens to use their real names on the internet. ISPs are required to collect the real names and ID numbers when customers sign up for services, and since 2017, social media sites like Weibo and WeChat must authenticate accounts with documents, including national ID. This is going to be the model for America and the entire world. So don't think it's not going to happen here. And don't think it's not going to happen if you try to flee someplace else to go to South America or Africa or some other little country in the Caribbean. It's going to happen. It's happening everywhere. And I know a lot of people think, oh, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal because it's tied to the no buy, no sell system. As you can see, you're not going to be able to buy internet service if you don't do this. Eventually, you won't be able to use the internet if you don't do this, eventually. And because they already have a national ID system, so it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So if you don't sign up right away, guess what? They know who signed up for it and who wants to use the internet and participate in this national cyberspace identification system because everything is digitalized. And then if you don't, then you could be penalized by the state because guess what? You opted out. So you may be a bad person. You may have something to hide. So there's like no win in this. And this is why it's really important for you to understand how serious it's going to be and for you to do some hygiene, technology hygiene from time to time. Even consider ditching a lot of your stuff now because you're not going to be able to access anything if you don't participate in this system. And if you do participate in it, I can't really say like for now it's nothing because it's not necessarily tied to worship, but it is a form of a mark. It is a sign. So once you get it, and then the next thing maybe a month or a year or two, you're required to worship on a certain day or worship a certain religion or worship at a certain time, or you're going to be penalized. And so then you're already in the no buy, no sell system. So for people who refuse, life is going to be difficult. And then everybody's going to know who didn't sign up for it because you'll be living a totally different way. You won't be able to use the internet. You won't be able to go to the grocery store. You won't be able to go to school. Your kids won't be able to go to school. You can't go to the gas station and buy gas because you got to scan your digital ID or your digital wallet in order to access anything. So it's going to be a challenge trying to live in a digital world. And not only that, you gotta worry about snitches. Cause ninjas gonna tell on you and they ain't gonna help you. Because they gonna want you to be going to eternal damnation with them. So they're gonna be mad because you're taking a stand. Even people in your family. So like I heard a brother saying yesterday, there'll be a whole lot of women who betray their husbands because their husband's trying to do right and take a stand, but the children hungry. Instead of them the wife like, hey, I'm gonna stand with my man. We just gonna starve, and we're gonna believe in the Most High that He's got us covered. This is a season, and we're gonna be okay. They're gonna be like, I'm gonna just sneak and get the chip, and I'm gonna go to the grocery store and get some groceries, and we're gonna eat. Well, sold your household out. So we're all gonna have to deal with situations like that, and so that's kind of why I'm talking about it. But I want you to just keep in mind that these things are continuing to happen with this digitalization of the globe and all these other nations that have way more people than us, and we're not really talking about it. So the next story is India. So it says India reports 1.38 billion Aadhar numbers generated. And if you don't know what Aadhar is, it is their digital identification, their biometric system for their citizens, for their country. So they got 1.38 billion numbers generated. So that means those people, that's how many people have that system. And it says 13.88 billion transactions via UPI in June 2024 as DPI extends. India's Minister of State for Electronic and Information Technology, Sri Jitin Prasada, says that to date, 1.38 billion Aadhar numbers have been generated. Aadhar is a digital identity program that provides biometric and demographic-based digital identity for authentication. Prasada also revealed that in June 2024, more than 13.88 billion financial transactions were conducted via digital payment platform Unified Payment Interface, which is UPI. By being technology and device agnostic, UPI has contributed to financial inclusion with the aim of making digital payments accessible to a vast population, the government notes in a press release. Additionally, India's digital issuance and verification platform, DigiLocker has facilitated more than 300 million users and made available 6.7 billion issued documents so far. So your paper documents not good enough. You got to have digital stuff too. The government of India has implemented several measures to expand the reach of Indian digital public infrastructure, both nationally and internationally, including the launch of India Stack Global and Global DPI Repository. India has signed memorandums of understanding to share digital software with 10 countries, including Armenia, Sierra Leone, Africa, Suriname, Antigua and Barbuda, Papua New Guinea, Trinidad and Tobago, Tanzania, Kenya, Cuba, and Colombia. So you think you're going somewhere to hide out? You're not. In fact, last year, India was negotiating with Kenya, Mozambique, and Namibia to assist these African nations in developing digital payment systems akin to the Universal UPI platform. India recently unveiled its commitment to integrating AI into its DPI across various domains in a bid to enhance accessibility and efficiency and inclusivity. The recent report from India's G20 task force on DPI highlights how, by effectively utilizing emerging technologies like AI, the impact of DPI can be enhanced. So what's scary also is they are infusing these digital identification systems with AI. So y'all know AI is going to be the AGI eventually. So they're like laying the foundation slowly for you not being able to function in society because AI is going to control everything. So it's getting ready to be a trip. But anyway, it said in addition to this, ACA's Digital of Trust, State of Digital Trust 2024 revealed that 90% of respondents of India consider digital trust important, and 89% believe its importance will grow over the next 5 years. So, like, it's just bad because people have been forced into this and they just don't really have a clue. So I'm going to put a link to this story in the description so that you can check it out on your own. And again, I encourage you to go through this site really good because it has a lot of stuff on here that you need to be knowing about. Okay, so the next story is about WEF and MOSIP call for gender equality in DPI and digital ID systems. So here we go with the gender stuff. Like, I don't know what it got to do with anything, but they got to get the women on board because guess what? We always messing up something. Take it back to the Garden of Eden. You want to corrupt the order? Get some women. I'm just saying. Digital Public Infrastructure, DPI, which includes systems for digital identity payments, and data exchange, offers benefits but also poses risk if not designed inclusively, according to a recent report by the WEF. Oh boy. Digital Public Infrastructure, which is DPI, WEF notes, has the ability to transform women's economic participation, healthcare access, and educational opportunities. So see how they, in order for you to access these things, they always try to tie it to something that they say you need or something that you desire to have. It says, for instance, digital ID systems can facilitate access to banking services, government benefits, because sisters that got these children out of wedlock, they need to get their food stamps and other public assistance, their Medicaid or whatever social programs they participate in, and they need to have children in school so they can go to work if they're a single parent. So they know exactly what they're doing. Everything that they've done has been by design for this time right now. So it says, and legal documentation, which could lead to financial independence and social inclusion. So notice they talk about financial independence. So they're talking about a divided household and a woman being on public assistance without no man. And this is some of the stuff that you got to try to read in between the lines. Everything is designed to keep us separated, not to be together. And so that men can be excluded from society, because it's very easy to conquer women with words, and men not so much, because when men don't think or move the way that women do. Most don't, but similarly, digital health services can provide women with critical health information and services, especially in remote areas where traditional healthcare infrastructure is lacking. So they're going to get everybody, they're going into the remote areas and make sure they have digital IDs too. However, the report highlights that these benefits are not automatically guaranteed. In many parts of the world, women and girls face systemic barriers to accessing digital technologies. These include lower literacy rates, limited access to the internet and digital devices, and socio-cultural norms that restrict their use of technology. As a result, without deliberate design and implementation strategies that consider gender-specific challenges, DPI can exacerbate existing inequalities. Gender-inclusive digital ID systems, have mercy. An aspect of creating inclusive DPI is the design of digital identity systems. The modular open source identity platform, which is MOSIP, underscores the importance of gender inclusive design in these systems. The platform advocates for approaches that ensure women are not left behind in the digital identification process. So y'all know there's some poo-poo. MOSIP recently partnered with researchers at Oregon State University to leverage the Gender Mag methodology developed by the team at OSU. Gender Mag, short for Gender Inclusiveness Magnifier, is a usability inspection method designed to identify and address gender inclusive issues in problem-solving software. So if they're going to do gender, you know they're going to do race, but they ain't going to tell you they done created a racial diversity magnifier that's going to make sure niggas ain't got nothing. They're going to make sure of that. You could bet. They're already doing it. So, again, if they built this stuff and it's not fair, according to their standards of what fair is, because their standards are poor metrics, but in any event, that's neither here nor there. How are things going to be better or different? So racism and sexism is built into all the stuff because the people who building it are racist and sexist. So then they got to build something else to keep it from being racist and sexist and excluding people. How is this better again? Tell me, please. Help me. Talk to me like I'm two. Tell me, how is it better? Anyway, I'm not going to read anymore. I just want to share that story with y'all. It will be a link in the description. The next story is Nigeria undertakes reforms to strengthen national digital ID legal framework. So y'all know Nigeria is like one of the biggest, most populated countries on the planet, definitely on the continent of Africa, and has some of the most, has one of the biggest educated populations on the planet. So it says legislation that will usher in a new dispensation for legal and digital identity management in Nigeria is being studied in the country's National Assembly. So every nation is participating in this. This is the other thing I want y'all to understand. It don't matter where you go, you're going to get some of this digitalization. So you have to get that in your spirit. It doesn't matter where you run. You are going to run into the same problem. You may be running from desolation here, but you still going to have to deal with the digitalization, that no buy no sell system, and the mark of the beast. So in a statement issued July 26, explaining the content of the draft piece of legislation, the National Identity Management Commission says it will strengthen the regulatory function of the ID Management Authority and enhance the efficiency and inclusivity of the identity management system. So the amendments seek to fortify the foundational framework of the NIMC and its operations by expanding the scope of registrable persons. The benefit to the country is a more comprehensive and inclusive identity system, which enhances national security. Why all of a sudden national security is so important to them? Facilitates efficient service delivery and promotes financial inclusion. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We want to control your money and we want to know what you're doing. The statement signed by the NIMC's head of corporate communications, Coyote Adegoke reads. I don't know, I'm saying it wrong. I'm sorry. The bill also aims to streamline the sharing of personal data, incorporating robust data protection measures. So they're going to share your stuff. That's the other thing. Everything is going to a global database, so everybody's going to be sharing everything. If you try to go cross borders, leave your country, people are going to know about you. They're going to know she is a radical. Don't let her in. Watch her, because she's going to try to corrupt your people. She eat beef, so she had some over here the other day. Don't let her buy none over there. Fix her card so she can't buy none. Put a code on her account so she can't buy the steak when she get over there. If she try to go out to eat and order beef, she can't do it. The bill also aims to streamline the sharing of personal data, incorporating robust data protection measures to safeguard the privacy and confidentiality of individuals' personal data and foster trust among citizens in the handling of their information. It also enhances NIMC's administrative enforcement power to ensure timely and accurate compliance with ID registration requirements. Okay, y'all see what they're talking about. The ID Authority has expressed optimism that once the bill eventually becomes law, it will allow for a more streamlined registration process, reducing bureaucratic hurdles and enhancing the reliability of Nigeria's ID system. It also, they call it NIDS. It is also expected to contribute significantly to the country's socioeconomic growth and digital economy ambitions. Among the several changes to be introduced is the decriminalization of the non-use of the National Identification Number, NIN, according to the daily newspaper Leadership. The NIMC Act of 2007 provides penalties for non-compliance with NIN registration processes. So they've had a policy on the books since 2007. So it says the outlet quotes the sponsor of the bill, Senator Barajibrin from the northern state of Kano, as saying that the new bill proposes administrative enforcement measures to encourage compliance with NIN usage instead of criminal penalties over non-compliance with NIN registration requirements. So if you don't comply, now it's a crime, but they're getting ready to change it. So where it's administrative enforcement, or it's an administrative issue, which means they're going to just fee you. They're going to fine you. And they're going to take the money right out of your bank account because they're going to have access to everything. So it says introducing a more robust data protection measure into NIMC's legal framework certainly comes as good news for digital rights advocates in the country who have flayed the ID authorities' attitude in the face of recent data breach reports. So it says the NIMC repeal and enact bill passed second reading in the Senate early this month. All right, so as you can see, these people are moving along with their plans, and it's not just, oh, we're going to roll it out in Jamaica. They're rolling out in countries that have billions of people. So when they bring it here, it's going to be very easy for them to get us with it. And they already have some states that are doing it, but we just have to see how things shake out. But know that it's coming, because you already see war is escalating, pestilence is escalating, plagues are escalating, and famine is on the horizon. My last story that I want to share with you about the no-buy-no-sell systems is this, because I know everybody's like, we got to go to Africa, we got to go to Africa, we got to get a passport, we got to leave. Don't make you leave. You're going to get some of this digitalization. You're going to be a part of the B system, this no-buy-no-sell system. So I'm going to just say, I would rather be with the enemy that I know than being in a country where when shit hits the fan, excuse my French, I'm in a place where I'm with people who don't like me. And I got to conform. Or if I'm trying to take a stand, how do I do that with people who traditionally have not liked me, who I can't necessarily, in a nation that has not been welcoming, and with people who will betray you because they betray us all the time. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. So the last story is African Union adopts AI strategy to streamline continental digital transformation efforts. So it says a document which defines the trajectory Africa intends to take regarding the development, use, and regulation of generative artificial intelligence. That's the AGI I'm telling you about. That's the AGI God. Has been adopted. The African Union's Executive Council endorsed the strategy during its 45th ordinary session, which took place in the Ghanaian capital, Accra, last week. According to reports, the AI strategy was adopted alongside the Digital Compact for Africa to guide African countries in the way they embrace AI technologies in their push for socioeconomic development. Both blueprints align with the AU's 2030 digital transformation strategy and its Agenda 2063. The AU Executive Council adopted the AI strategy and digital compact just days after African ICT and communication ministers gave their nod on the document. This was the second extraordinary session of the Specialized Technical Committee on ICT and Communication, attended virtually by over 130 government representatives and experts, according to an AU news release. The Commissioner for Energy, Infrastructure, and Digitalization of the African Union, Dr. Abu Zaid Amani, who spoke during the specialized technical meeting, said the strategy will help African nations pursue their development undertakings while preserving their identity culture. He explained that the document, which had also been sent to the UN for appraisal, will equally help countries better deal with the risk associated with the technology. AI systems should be able to reflect our diversity, languages, culture, history, and geographical context, said Amani. It's not going to do that because it's racist. It was created by racists and people who don't like us because they know who we are. So surely they ain't buying into this. As we aim to create an inclusive AI ecosystem and a competitive African AI market that is adapted to our realities and meets our ambitions, we believe examining and approving this strategy will provide a common vision and path to accelerate responsible AI innovation and adoption in Africa. So this is what I wanted to share with y'all. I'm not going to read all of it, but it's a good little bit of information in here. And the other thing that I want to share with you is that earlier in the year, policy experts proposed a collaboration between the African Union and European Union. So they in bed with the beast. They're in bed with the system. They're in bed with Rome, because at the end of the day, all the stuff is all roads lead back to Rome. So again, if you're thinking, oh, you're gonna run to Africa, you're gonna go here, you're gonna go there, you ain't going nowhere to escape this. You're gonna make a choice wherever you are to be a part of the system and take their marks and participate in their system, or you're gonna be penalized and persecuted, and you won't be able to buy or sell without their mark or in their numbers. And they keep talking about the Aadhar number. There we got all these different digital identification methods. It's all the same thing. So they have told us what they're going to do, and they are doing it, just not doing it here yet. So anyway, if you're still here, thank y'all for hanging on. I will put links to all of these stories in the description so that you can read them for yourselves. Again, browse the site, sign up, subscribe to news. It's free, and check this site regularly, because there's a lot of interesting stuff here, and it's stuff that nobody talks about, but we need to be abreast of it, because this is the system that's going to be in place for controlling our worship. Making sure that we keep their eco-Sabbath instead of the Most High Sabbath. All right, please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Follow me on Odyssey, Rumble, Instagram, and on Facebook. There are links in the description if you'd like to support the channel financially for Venmo and Coffee. They are at the very, very bottom of the description box, if you go all the way to the bottom. Lastly, continue to pray, repent, seek the Most High. Obey those laws, statutes, and commandments. Learn how to keep the Sabbath appropriately, because all this stuff at the end of the day is tied to Sabbath and the day of rest and worship. And so if you have not, just go back and look at some of the older videos that I've done on Sabbath, so that you kind of get an idea of why it's important and where these people are going. But we need to get ready, because they're getting ready to ramp up the wars. The divisions are happening as we speak. The lines are being drawn. Folks are pre-gaming for their wars with their nations in mind, and the rest of the world is preparing for the new world order. And so that we got to think about all these things. We got to keep watch, and we got to prepare, because if we're here, we're going to have to make the decision, and we need to know what's happening so that when the time comes, we can make the right decision. And even if we have to make a decision about the digital identification, you know, at least we are armed with knowledge and wisdom. So you got time to think about the pros and cons, and all the things that are going to go into making the sacrifice to make that decision, and how that will impact your family. So again, make sure you are prepping with this in mind, because once things hit the fan, you can't stop the ball from rolling, and time is not going to wait on you. It's not going to wait on no man. Time is actually speeding up. They're stealing time from us. So pay attention. All right, this is Marley K. Love y'all, and I'm out.